We talk about conspiracies, and to me, the Vietnam conspiracy was the way the war started, the way it was, it came about, what it was about, and how quickly we walked away from it. And when we walked away from it, millions of people were killed after that because of our intervention in the war. In 1963, I came back from Cuba, Puerto Rico. That was after the Cuban crisis, and I was at Morehead City, and we were building Quonset huts there. And I was really, really bored, and I said to an old gunnery sergeant, I said, "Where's the next war going to be?" And he says, "There's a little country called Vietnam." He said, "It's in Southeast Asia." He said, "You could just put your name into the first sergeant." He says, "They're building up a group to go over there." We landed in Vietnam, and we prepared for the force that was about to land in Vietnam. And we knew that it was going to be a large force because we were building strong back tents. We were building units for people coming ashore to live in. And we made facilities for probably 1,500 to 2,000 people at the time in just one area. So what we did is the whole crux of it was that they portrayed it like we weren't even there, and that it wasn't important. And in fact, it was part of the big plan. And the big plan was Defense Secretary McNamara had put an article in the Stars and Stripes that said something about there are no organized Marine units in Vietnam. And I looked at the date on the paper, and it was probably the 14th of February, and this was written like the 7th of February. And we were an organized Marine unit. We were 180 people strong, and there were two Viet Cong divisions that were around us, so that were like 7 or 8,000 enemy at the time. And we became a part of the 9th Marine Expeditionary Brigade. And from that point on, there was a lot more documentation, because I think it was like they had the right to be there now, that now it was okay to escalate the war, where prior to that, it was a war that was fought by advisors and technicians and from the different branches of the services. Really escalated. At the time I left, there were probably 75 or 80 people killed in Vietnam. And they escalated in the fashion so that it would be an early victory, and it would be a real smashing victory, where we were bombing Hanoi, but then we started losing planes, and there was so much political influence on how the war was being fought. The war changed on them, and because of the strategy of the North Vietnamese, they made it a lot more difficult. They really turned our easy victory into a war of, it was going to last for a long time. I love the Marine Corps. However, there were things in the Marine Corps that, and I'm not saying they took good care of us, but there were times that they didn't take good care of us. It was like when I said we went into Vietnam, and there were 7 or 8,000 enemy, and there were 165 or 170 of us. It didn't. That, to me, that was almost like we were a sacrificial lamb. If they wanted to, they could have wiped us out anytime they wanted to, really. And you look at the people that you served with that are no longer here, and the only remembrance is their name on a wall. And we've talked about it, how eerie it is, how if you're there, you can almost feel their presence around you. Something comes back to remind you of what they were about. While I was there, I had a little camera, and I used to take pictures. And when I at the time I took the pictures, I thought someday I'll want to look at these. And I've never developed a film. I've never wanted to look at them.